Alright, so I'm just going to do a quick tutorial on changing guitar strings because I have like a specific method that I do that I know like a lot of different musicians do that I haven't really seen anyone do a video on, kind of explaining why most people do this. And I think it's a lot easier too. I know like beginning guitar players, even I, like putting on your first set of strings or something can be pretty daunting, so I'm just going to do this and kind of explain how I go about it. So main things you'll need is, I like to have like a towel or something to like wipe off the fingerboard or the strings, or even the guitar as you're taking off the strings. A tuner to make sure you're tuning your strings as you're going. Some kind of tool or something like that to remove your bridge pins. A string cutter, and then your new strings. So let me get started. I always like to start at the lower end of strings. So whenever you're looking at your strings, the highest number is going to be your thickest string. And so that's how you'll know where to start. Some strings too will have like markers, certain colors. Like certain guitar strings will have certain colors for the thickest string. So basically what I do to start is I'll get my string out, ready to go to put on. I'll tune down, loosen the old string. And you can also use like a string winder or something like that. They make like adaptations that go on like a drill or something like that. But sometimes I just find those kind of unnecessary. Okay. Get your bridge pin out. And then now the string's loose enough, you just undo the windings up here. And a lot of times my strings don't get too bad, too much corrosion on them. So I'll save them just in case if I'm playing and I break a string and I don't have a new set at that time, I can just put one of the old ones on. Okay, and then so here's part of the method that I do is you bend the part of the string that's going to be going down into there, into the bridge pin hole, and it's going to be hitting the bridge plate. And you want to bend that because it'll automatically, it's going to bend over time anyway, but if you bend it at the beginning, it's going to require less stretching, and it's also going to pull on the bridge plate less. So that'll overall give your bridge plate more wear on it, or less wear over time. And so this is the part of like how I put on strings. It's a little bit different. I cut my strings before I wind them. So on acoustic guitars like this, basically you want to have the string pulled fairly tight, and then you'll go, this is the string that I'm winding on the tuner. The next tuner up, and like a little bit extra. And then you just cut it. Feed it through a little bit, and then you'll just want to hold that. Basically, I always do one winding above and the rest of them below the hole, the slot of the tuner. That basically helps it lock in better and it'll hold pitch better. So since you have one winding above and the rest below, it helps it tighten on the actual part of the tuner, and it'll help it stay at pitch better for longer periods of time. And I also, like, some people will pull all their strings off and do it at one time. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It will just, on acoustic guitars like this, it'll offset the tension that's on your soundboard. So as these strings are on there and they're pulled up to your tuning pitch, they have constant pressure on this, So if you pull them all off, it completely resets the tension that's on this. So you'll lose some of your volume and tone from your guitar. And I don't know exactly how proven that is, but it's kind of my theory on it. And then as I go, I'll bring every string up to pitch. And then even after it's up to pitch, it'll continually stretch. But I like to just go throughout each part of the fretboard, kind of push on it to stretch it out a little bit more. I'll even pull up on it too. This kind of just helps get some of the stretching of the string out. That way it'll get up to tune and stay at tune quicker. Basically, once you've got the first string, you're kind of on a roll, and you can just get your next string set up. And your bridge pins, like as you put more tension on your strings and everything, and you're winding a string up, they will pull out some, but you can just push them right back in. A lot of people, they're always afraid if the bridge pin's popping out while they're winding strings up, but it's not really a problem. That one came up a little bit and I just pushed it right back down, so it's totally fine. Your bridge pins aren't really what's holding your strings in place. It's more so the bridge plate that's below the bridge on the guitar. The tension and everything, that's what's mainly holding the strings in place. And then same thing as before, just cutting it above with the next one. The more you change strings and the more often you do it, the more times you've done it, the more experience you get at it, the quicker it becomes. This is the part where string winders can come in handy, because this will take a little bit to get your wrappings on there right. I like to do it by hand just because I feel the tension and everything, and I can make sure I get my wrappings one above and the rest below in the manner that I want to, because I can move the string and I'm closer to everything. Another thing you can do, you can hold on the bridge pin as you're winding it up to tension. And that'll help keep it from popping up as you're tuning up. And yeah, so 2 strings already. The next one will be halfway done. And once you get in the mindset of changing strings like this, and like I'll already bend my strings and have it laid out, it just makes everything go a lot quicker. Like your flow of working on the guitar will just go a lot quicker. And you can always, like, as you're going, like, check on your saddle and your nut of your guitar as you're changing your strings, just to have an idea of, like, at what stage your wear is at. Like, if it's getting close to time where you might need to, you know, get a new saddle or something, or have it cleaned off a little bit. If you get too much wear in there and there becomes a groove, your guitar can start buzzing and everything. Now, once you get to the point where, you know, I've always said, like, the next tuner up, once you're at the top of the headstock, at that tuner, there isn't another tuner up, so you can just go above the headstock and then a little bit extra. You mostly just learn to eyeball it a little bit the more that you do this method. And even, like, if you do like winding your strings on, you know, pushing a little bit through, or pulling some of it through and cutting them after you've tuned them, I mean, it works. You know, it's all in personal preference. But if you do cut them after that, you'll have to retune after you cut them, just because there will be some lost tension and everything as you cut them. And really, as you can see, like on this one, I only have, on these I've had like one or two wraps below, one wrap above. If you only have one over each, even that's fine. As long as you have one above and the rest of them below, at least one below, you'll have enough to lock in the tuner there. The new strings that I put on with each next one that I put on as well, because having different tension it'll all throw it off. Alright, halfway down there. And another, like a way you can tell how the wear is on your strings and if it's time to change, is if you just run your fingers across them, like pinch a string as you're pulling it off and hold it. Like you'll feel all the grind and stuff, and like you'll feel like dents in it from if you've been playing and hitting on the frets a lot. The strings can like bend a certain way. Usually you can just look at them and see them fray a little bit. And then now, like, getting to this point, another thing to pay attention to is, depending on which side of the headstock you are, will determine which way you tighten and which way you wind the string. I'm going to go on this, on the higher side of the strings, you want to wind them going counterclockwise, because it has the loop of the string going this way in sort of a more natural path than if you were to wind it the other way. It's just the way that they're designed. Some headstocks are different though, it just depends on what you've got. If they're 3 on each side, or it's slotted headstocks. Usually I find the harder strings to wind are these smaller ones, just because they're harder to see and hard to get a feel of. But usually with this, like, cutting them before I wind them, and this whole like method of this way to put strings on usually makes it pretty easy. The main thing is to just make sure, like, if you're winding strings on and your wrappings overlap, that can be a little bit dangerous because the amount of tension that is on there, and then if it's a winding over a winding, sometimes that can cause a break in the string, or maybe just weaken it and make it more susceptible to a break. Okay. So another thing to be thinking about whenever you're winding the strings too is, depending on which side of the headstock you're on, if you're on the lower half or the upper half, you want to, on the higher half, you want to wind the strings to whichever way they'll loop over, just from the way that the guitar is designed, because that keeps the strings spaced properly so they're not hitting each other at the top. So on the higher side, you want to wind them to where the tuner is spinning counterclockwise. No, I'm sorry, it's actually, that'd be clockwise. It's clockwise on the higher side, counterclockwise on the lower side. Sometimes you have to kind of make adjustments depending on like what your intonation is set at, just to make sure that everything is on pitch. Yeah, there you go. So that's changing guitar strings using kind of my method. Kind of got that from my dad, who's been playing guitar for a long time. I don't really know where the method came from. Haven't really seen too many other people that do the same kind of thing. But I think it works really good. It's pretty quick, and it kind of gives you a set path to do on every string, and kind of gives you just consistency overall. All right.